Hey guys, it's Hector here with a whole nother kind of religious, kind of political vlog, whatever. I know some people don't like it, but it's my freaking YouTube channel. I can do whatever the hell I want. And I'm a little sick, so my voice might be kind of messed up and I might cough. I don't know, whatever. But, so I've just been getting really irritated about all the shit that's been going on. There's just been so much stuff going on here in the United States. You know, there's all these pretty much gun deaths and stuff, and people, you know, start fighting. Oh, maybe we should take away all the guns, and no, we need more guns. And then at the same time, they're like, oh, well, you know, it's a terrorist type thingy. And they're like, oh, well, it's not really terrorists. It's just crazy people, and we need to do more mental health shit. And it's just getting really, really freaking annoying hearing all this shit over the years. Because as we get more and more guns, we get more and more violence and stuff. And I have a ton... Well, first let me say, I am not for banning all guns. I think that's pretty damn stupid. And I even talk with my friends in Australia who have the total gun ban, and they even say how, you know, of course it works with like mass shootings and stuff, but there's still a lot of gun violence here and there. Well, I wouldn't say a lot, but you know what I'm saying. And and it's just that I have a lot of family and friends that still post all these ignorant shit on Facebook, and I kind of want to talk about it, but then I don't want to get in a huge thing. And a lot of times it does get pretty damn racist, and it starts going towards Islamic shit. And well, first off, I've seen a bunch of posts that say like, well, some of these people had bombs. Should we, you know, do more bomb laws or something? And that's a stupid ass point, because we do have bomb laws, and that's why people don't get killed with bombs every single day in the United States like they do with guns. And we don't have mass bomb killings so many times throughout the year, because you might have seen some articles around the internet, but some of them are a little bit misleading about mass shootings in the United States. Some will say there have been more mass shootings in the United States this year than there have been days in this year. And that is incorrect, actually, based on the wording of what a mass shooting is. So a real mass shooting, defined like by the FBI or whatever, is if 4 or more people were killed. That blog that's been saying that there's more mass shootings than days this year says there have been 4 people shot, either injured or killed at, you know, one time, and that counts as a mass shooting. That is not what a mass shooting is. It's still bad, but that's not what the real mass shootings are. So they're saying 4 people shot, injured, or killed, and that's mass shooting, which is untrue. It has to be 4 people killed to officially be a mass shooting, at least in the United States. And there's still a lot of mass shootings in the United States, just not as many as that particular blog would say. I am for more gun laws, but of course we go state by state with certain gun laws. Some states have almost no regulation. You can just buy a gun and then maybe do a quick background check, and then that's it. You get your guns. And some states you have to wait like 2 weeks and stuff like that. And so it depends state by state. I don't know, or I don't think we can do a whole federal law that goes across all states that says this is how gun laws have to be. I'm not sure if we can do that. And a lot of people keep pointing to the Second Amendment, which they don't even know. They'll just point to the second half of the Second Amendment, which is like your rights to own guns shall not be infringed, basically paraphrasing. But they forget the first half, which is a well-regulated militia. So the whole point of the amendment was we didn't really have an army, so we're going to have well-regulated militias, and all those people can have guns to protect the freedom of the state. And somehow over the past 200-something years, we decided, okay, that means every single person in the United States gets to have a gun, which is really, really stupid in my opinion. And I kind of would like it if they treated guns more like cars. Because some people try and compare guns to cars, like, oh, you know, guns don't kill people, just like cars don't kill people. It's a tool to, you know, kill people or something. But, you know, there's vehicular manslaughter. We don't have really special terms for gun killings, which just, you know, regular homicide and stuff like that, or murders and stuff. Anyways, I would like it if, you know, we had to go through all these background checks to make sure you can have a gun, and then you have to take tests to make sure you can actually safely handle the gun. And then you have to have the whole license and a registration for the gun, and if you want to sell the gun to another person, you have to sign that registration over to that other person so we can track it like that. I know some people would say, that's totally against the Constitution, but again, you guys don't really read the damn amendment, because that really isn't against the amendment. Still well regulated. That's part of the well regulation, you can argue. And then on the topic, well, shifting from guns over to the whole terrorism type thingy. Recently, there's a whole attack in San Bernadino, and it was some dude and his wife, and apparently the dude was born in the U.S., but his wife, I believe she might have been from Syria. I don't remember entirely sure. I can't remember. I'm not entirely sure. But apparently they're all just kind of brainwashed by all this ISIS bullshit, so they started shooting up their own workplace. And so somehow, because the news is still kind of shaky, but they're starting to say, oh, this is Islamic terrorism. Well, they're not sure if it's Islamic terrorism, but they're definitely saying it is terrorism, because, well, it is terrorism. And then they're saying, well, technically here and there, but it wasn't 100% sure that it's not commanded down by ISIS. So you cannot compare them to the Paris attacks, because it wasn't really an ISIS attack. It was just some effed up people who wanted to shoot up their business because they were just crazy, brainwashed by the ISIS propaganda, basically. That's not saying, you can't say that it's not Islamic terrorism. Sure, you can say it's Islamic terrorism, I guess, but at the same time, people aren't saying all this other shit is Christian terrorism, like the guy who shot up the Planned Parenthood just like a week before that, and they're saying, oh, well, he's a crazy guy, because they keep saying all these white Christian people who keep doing all these shootings, they're like, oh, he's crazy, mental health. If it's a black person shooting up shit, he's just, a gangster and a thug and stuff. If it's a Islamic person shooting up, even if they're not really tied to a terrorist organization, they're saying it's Islamic terrorism and stuff like that. And it's just a bunch of BS. Of course, all of these people are crazy who do the mass shootings in some way or another, but they are still kind of pushed forward by certain things. There are Christian terrorists out there who get pushed by Christian agendas and even, political agendas and stuff like that. But despite all that, you do not say, because these people are kind of crazy and do the shootings and all that stuff, you do not say all Christians are crazy and all Christians are bad, because that's just stupid. So by the same token, you can't just say all of Islam is bad and all of Muslims are bad, because that is still equally stupid. And people are so damn afraid of Muslims that they don't even want to take in refugees, and that's a whole nother topic that people have been talking about, because they start pushing out the fear like, oh, what if there's a terrorist among the refugees and stuff like that. And that's why we do this whole screening process that takes like a year or two to make sure that they can even come in as refugees. And these are just people that are trying to run away from the whole war zone, because they're getting killed by ISIS and all the rebels and all that shit too. And they're getting killed by us because we're just dropping bombs on an entire area. And bombs aren't freaking pinpoint precision shits. They just blow up an entire area. And that's why some people say bombs aren't effective against fighting terrorism, especially terrorists who are positioned in cities. And the thing about the United States is we started renaming what counts as a civilian and what doesn't. They started saying if you're 18 years old and male, you're a military age civilian or a military age person or something, so you're not a civilian, and technically we didn't kill a civilian, so it's not collateral damage and shit like that. And that's the kind of shit that pushes forward all that terrorist propaganda and ISIS propaganda, because they just see the United States come in and bomb the shits, and they're like, well, what the fuck, man? So, well, let's fight with these guys because they're just killing us. So it is a whole mixture of shits going on. And I just think it is stupid and ignorant to be scared of all Muslims and all of Islam and not be scared of like Christianity, especially since we have the freaking KKK here, which is a terrorist organization in the United States. And even Anonymous try to push out all this information about all these people who are tied to the KKK but are politicians, like higher ranking politicians like congressmen and shit, and are like police chiefs and stuff. And so they're trying to hack all these different accounts and find out more information and then just publish it out there. And so that shit is really ingrained in the United States far far worse than like Islamic terrorism, but we don't look at that because, you know, people just don't want to say that it's Christian terrorism, or they just don't want to believe it exists. So my point is that there are some bad people out there, but you can't just paint the entire freaking group as bad, especially an entire group like an entire religion or an entire race or anything like that. And you shouldn't really be afraid of refugees who are trying to escape that terrible, terrible place that we're just railing on. And they're already trying to escape it. I mean, like, just imagine if you were in a freaking war zone. Like, what the hell would you do? Would you just stay in there and tough it out? You would try and immigrate to a different place, even if it was illegally. And it's the whole, it blurs the lines between what is legal and what is illegal if it's a refugee situation. And some of those people are just trying to get to the nearest place that they can, and a lot of people die on the way to safety. So they're risking their lives just to get to safety. And then I started hearing the other argument about, well, I won't take a refugee until we find homes for all these homeless or for all the veterans and stuff. Well, a lot of people have been pushing that for years and years and years, and all of a sudden you guys who are against refugees are like, well, what about the homeless and what about the veterans? Well, a lot of people have been pushing for the homeless and getting more homeless shelters or doing something for the homeless, and a lot of times the homeless are just mentally ill, and people don't really know what to do, because I've heard all these news stories about like hospitals who would try to treat these mentally ill people, but they just can't take care of them, or they don't have the money or the funding or something, so they just send them on a bus to a different city like San Francisco, and then they just wander the streets. And there's a news story recently about how like a hospital or chain or something like that, a whole corporation had to pay the city like this small fine because they were caught doing it. And it wasn't even a big fine, and I don't even know what the hell the point of that fine was. And then when it comes to veterans, a lot of people keep, you know, with the whole veteran thing, it is kind of like the gun thing. A lot of citizens are pushing for more help for the veterans or for more gun regulations, but the politicians are like, no, we can't do that, or fuck that. And the politicians are usually pretty stupid and always fighting with each other, or always trying to get something in order to pass what they want. Like, oh, well, I need something if I'm going to pass what you want, or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And even after that huge school shooting, Sandy Hook, if you guys remember that from a few years back, they were doing polls around the U.S., and like 90% of people wanted more gun regulations, and nobody did anything. And even some Congress people were shot in a totally different mass shooting, and they still don't do anything. And they're just not going to do anything unless, you know, people rise up and push against, you know, like the gun manufacturers or something, or like the NRA, the National Rifle Association and shit, because they have all the power basically, and the citizens don't have any say. That's why people say the United States isn't really a democracy. And then I know you can argue, well, it was never a democracy, it was a republic, or it was a representative democracy, and then we can just go on a whole nother freaking issue of what the hell we call ourselves and stuff. So I guess that's it. Just a shoot style vlog, I guess. I know this kind of crossing back and forth here and there with all the different issues, and the gun issue is very, very difficult to deal with, and politicians aren't going to do anything because it's kind of considered political suicide if they do something about guns. They usually get voted out or yelled down and stuff, so it's pretty much up to the citizens to band together and do like a huge group if they want to get something done. But I don't really see that happening, especially after all these mass shootings. They try and push fear of, oh, it's the Muslims, or oh, it's the black people, or oh, before it was Mexican terrorists coming over the border selling drugs and shit. And then before that, you know, it's just whoever else we're fighting. So it just keeps going back and forth from one group to another, and they're always pushing fear, and it's always a way to ban something or not ban something, and it's always to push a political agenda. It's always on fear. So don't start being one of those people who are fearing one group or another. You know what I'm saying? And if you're listening to Trump and shit, stop that shit, because he is a terrible, evil, fear-pushing person. And I guess that's all I got to say. So yeah, end video. That's it. I'm Hector Magical. See you later.